Hello, and welcome to this presentation of the Cyber Risk Strategy and Governance Program. Today, I'm here with Stefano Zanero, who is the co-director of this program. My name is Greta Nazi, and we would like to welcome you to this presentation of the program. Now, this program is covering what is often considered the fifth domain. What is the cyber risk, and what are cyber opportunities? Well, we should start by focusing on what's the cyberspace, which is where we spend most of our day now in light of the pandemic and in light of the way in which technology is pervasive in our life. And having a virtual space parallel to a physical space has given us many opportunities, including the fact of being together today. But this, of course, creates some opportunities in terms of creating a network, finding ways of staying connected, even if we can be physically connected, but it also creates some risk. Now, most of the crimes are not in drugs anymore, but they occur over the web. They occur online. And cyber is, if you wish, the sector with the largest gap between demand and offer of qualified job positions. And you will hear this from our students who, even if they're not yet graduate, most of them already received an offer for a future employment, or at least for an internship opportunity. And as you see, this is a very important domain for the European Union, but for all the countries and for all the organizations. Why? Because even if their way of doing business is not necessarily just online, they do reach out online. And this means that they have to figure out what needs to be done in order to safeguard their assets and in order to put in place any action that is needed to protect those assets. There are several assets, including data, and including the privacy of their clients, and including the property rights on their competitive advantage, on their R&D. And so there's going to be a lot of effort put in this domain in the future to make sure that all types of organizations have enough professionals to help them into governing it at best. And this is where our program fits. What do you need in order to run such a program and to run such competencies and to govern the cyber risks and to take advantage of the opportunities? You need, by definition, to tackle issues related with technologies, but you also need to understand how those technologies fit into the place of organizations. And this is the reason why two quite relevant institutions based in Milano, Bocconi University and the Politecnico of Milano, decided to go for a joint program. These two universities came together for the first time for the opportunity of providing the necessary knowledge and skills to future professionals who will be able at the same time to understand and master top-flight technological concepts and put them into the context of organizations, of governments, by understanding how strategic these things are into organizations and institutions, and what the economic, the social, the impacts may be. So the result is an interdisciplinary program, which is very well balanced, that allows our participants to get both a technical and a managerial and social science specialization. Now, we're going to get a little bit more into the program to get an understanding of how this works and how it is organized. But before we get into that, let me tell you why the program is titled Cyber Risk Strategy and Governance and what we aim at. We want people to basically fulfill a learning objective that is threefold. On the one hand, we want them to have a very solid preparation in the area of risk assessment. And in particular, we want them to have a technical expertise in order to understand where the risks and the opportunities may arise from. The second set of skills that we want them to understand is the social sciences skill set. And this is, again, quite important because it enables make sure that all levels of organizations understand what technology means into their way of doing business. And the last set of competencies that this program provides you with are soft skills. Why? Because if you think that understanding technical competencies and managerial competencies or legal competencies is something important, you also need to understand that these three sets of competencies speak a different language. And as such, you need to negotiate among the different actors involved to make sure that they all speak the same language, they all understand what the challenges may be, and in their role, which could be a C-level, like a CEO of an organization, minister of one country, or a prime minister of one country, or a chief information security officer, they all steer in the same way, and they all govern the risks with the right strategy and with the right toolkits. Now, how is this organized? As I said, our program consists of courses that go among these three skill sets, and here you see them.
Yes, the courses are actually a reflection of what Greta just explained, and this is not something that stems from the union of the two universities. It's the other way around. Since tackling these risks requires both technical and managerial skills, the unique blend of competencies and of courses of Politecnico and Bocconi allowed us to structure a program that actually builds these skills in the participants. So the challenge, of course, is that different types of students will enter this program. So we created a way to balance and harmonize the competencies of the students that are incoming to the program. So the 2 years of the program are balanced across the two universities, and in particular, in the first year, the first semester is held at Politecnico di Milano with a seminar delivered at Bocconi University, and symmetrically, the second semester is delivered at Bocconi with a seminar held at Politecnico di Milano. The first semester deals mostly with technical subjects. So it's introduced by a seminar, which is kind of an introduction, not just to the semester, but to the entire program, introduction to cyber risk. But then we focus on technology courses, a course on software methodologies and software architectures for security. So a course in the background of software engineering, targeted, of course, to the level and to the objectives of the program. A course called Cybersecurity Technologies, Procedures and Policies that embraces all of the technologies that are in use to build as building blocks cybersecurity programs in companies. Looked at with the point of view of the selection of the management and of the architecture of such programs. A course on artificial intelligence for security, because artificial intelligence is a growing field and it's necessary to understand its applications to the cybersecurity field, but also what are the fundamental building blocks of artificial intelligence and machine learning. And a course on technology risk governance, which is, of course, more managerial in style, but delivered from the point of view of a technical university. These 4 courses of the first semester are basically aimed at creating not technology experts, not engineering experts, but people that understand the language and the fundamental building blocks of technology. Since you may be scared by some of these titles, I will just add that we have selected a set of pre-courses that can be attended online, so through MOOCs. They can be attended before the start of the semester, in order to acquire some basic competencies in computer science and engineering that will help dealing with these courses. Students that come from a more technical background probably already have those competencies. Other students are facilitated by these courses in order to understand the basic terminology that professors will use during the first semester. The second semester switches, so the seminar of the second semester is held at Polimi, and the subject is social engineering, which is a pretty important attack vector in all organizations, because the human factor is critical in cybersecurity. The four compulsory courses at Bocconi deal instead with the organizational and economic side of cyber risk management. So there is a course on strategy and governance for cyber risk, a course related to data protection law and to cyber security laws, so the course in the legal background for the profession, which is of extreme importance, in particular for those that will take on a more a profile more related to compliance, but also for any security expert, however technical. Measuring us against laws and regulation is part of the job. Methods and data analytics for risk assessment give you the basis for performing risk assessment in a methodologically sound way. And it's a super important course because risk assessment is the key cornerstone of security management. And the course on institutional scenarios of cyber risk is needed because cyber security embraces and strongly affects all of the public institutions. And so the institutional aspects of cybersecurity are of extreme importance, even for someone who then will want to work in the private sector, because cyberspace is fundamentally a public-private partnership, and so whatever are the institutional architectures in the public sector influence heavily the private sector. This completes the first year, which is the basic building block of the competencies for students. Then the second year has more electives and the completion of the program.
As for the second year, there are no tracks, but there's the opportunity for students to pick classes among a list of courses that run both at Bocconi and at Politecnico that may fulfill their interest and their orientations toward their future professional career. Opposite to the first year, the first semester seminar is at Polimi, whereas the first semester classes are at Bocconi, and the second semester seminar is at Bocconi, whereas the second semester classes are at Polimi. There is only one rule to pick the electives, and that rule is that at least one course has to be picked in one of the two institutions. And among the classes that you may pick, there are some that have been jointly designed by the two institutions and jointly taught by both a Polimi and a Bocconi faculty to ensure that interdisciplinarity and the technical and the more social science component are embedded into topics that we consider relevant. One of these classes is a class on blockchain, which is taught at Bocconi, and then the other class is a class on resilience of critical infrastructure, which is hosted by Polimi during the second semester. Now, the key point is that the other classes follow some domains. Some are industry domains. We have classes on fintech, classes on government, like public management for competitiveness, and we have classes on multinational organizations. Then other classes are on technology, and besides a blockchain, there is a class on IoT, which is taught at Politecnico. There are also classes that are related with key aspects of governing within organizations, the potential risks. One is about business process organization, and the other one is about the supply chain. Not just the supply chain of organizations, but it also tackles a little bit about what it means today to handle the global supply chain of technologies and what the implications for cyber may be. The last part is about enhancing the data protection and laws, and so it's a law class. And then there are classes that are related with enhancing the analytics skills, and there's an advanced class on game theory and a class on data intelligence. I forgot to mention probably the most important class, which is again a class that was designed specifically for this program, which is a class in cybercrime and incidents reporting, which is taught at Politecnico during the second semester. Now, during the second year, students don't just take elective classes and they have to pick a total of 4, but they also usually carry out their internship. And they have several opportunities to carry out their internship because they have the chance of accessing both the career service of Politecnico of Milano and Bocconi University. So they double their opportunities. Not only this, I take the chance of mentioning the fact that the program has corporate partners that support us by offering some of their competencies, knowledge, and expertise. For instance, Stefano earlier mentioned the pre-courses. One of our partners offers those pre-courses as part of their academy. And the interesting thing is that you don't just fill in your gaps in competencies, but at the end of the course, you also get an additional certificate that you can list on your CV from a premium institution that works in this field. And corporate partners also offer dedicated scholarships for our students. And that's also on top of the scholarships that are offered to all the other programs. Not only internship, but also a foreign language, and of course the thesis. And what's interesting about the thesis is that this is completed by choosing whether you are going to have a supervisor from one of the 2 institutions and a counter supervisor from the other institution. Again, to make sure that you take an interdisciplinary perspective. This program aims at basically training 2 types of professionals. One are cyber risk managers. Cyber risk managers are graduates who will support tasks related to the cyber risk management at organizational level. And their scope will be to govern the risks that organizations may face by designing, implementing strategies, monitoring what's going on, and contributing to the policies, but also performing forensics analytics. Now, please remember that today, unfortunately, it's not a matter of whether an organization has suffered or not a cyber attack, but it's a matter of understanding whether they know and they are aware of the fact that they have suffered it. The second career opportunity is the following.
So the data protection part is particularly relevant because of the GDPR, of the regulation. But generally speaking, security managers the security manager profession is a broad career opportunity for graduates of the program. The data protection part has been relevant in Europe for a very long time and is now relevant worldwide. In fact, the job title of data protection officer that has been created by the GDPR is very famous, and you will find it in hiring announcements throughout the world. But security managers nowadays embrace a much wider perspective than they used to. And so purely technical knowledge is not enough for security managers, because they need to understand the law, the implications of data protection, the implications of the Cybersecurity Act in Europe, the implication of HIPAA in the United States. They need to understand economics, because they need to interact deeply with the strategy of companies. Companies go partially or fully digital in their business lines, and so they need a security strategy that is aligned with the business strategy and not an obstacle. All of this makes pure technical experts not really up to the task anymore. At the same time, purely managerial experts that come from other sides of business and then become security managers similarly face a difficulty, because of course the technical issues in the job are paramount, and the blend of competencies that the program offers puts the graduates in the right track to enter this professional line, either as internal experts in a company or as advisor and consultants, which is a time-honored role for getting a job in cybersecurity.
Well, thank you for staying with us throughout this presentation, and we look forward to receiving your questions in the live chat. Thank you.